Okay, so like I said just now, so this basically is a scene from your one of your seniors. So basically she did this animation. So if I go from here, so basically she did this half body animation. And of course I lost the carrot in the importing process. Um, but doesn't matter. It's just for lighting demo. Okay, so what this demo will be about the thought process of when I do a lighting shot, what I need to think beforehand, and what kind of research that I want to do, and that can helps me in my process of lighting. Okay, so as we can see, this is a kitchen scene, and the model is half, it's not fully completed, and it's shaded with just very simple textures and shaders, so it's fine. Okay, so now we can see that it's open on the screen right side of the scene, which is good because that means that light can go in that way. And also there's some windows on the front that if you want to use it as a motivation for lights to come in, you can do that. Okay, so for me, what I like to do is probably I'll do a night scene here, and I will do the main light source will be this lamp that comes down to her, and then probably I want to get a rim from pretending the screen right side here is a window, because now we can't see the right side, so we can do anything we want to it. So I want to get a rim from screen right that outlines her pose, and I want to get a key light on her face that helps shape her face and give some read to it. And then looking at the position of the lamp, I want her to move out of the key light towards the end of the pose. Yeah, and then probably some beauty lighting on the background, maybe getting some. Okay, so before that, what I will do is normally I will look for references like that, so I'll see how a kitchen design looks like. Okay, so people put in lamps and all, and okay, this one looks pretty common, like people will put in the lights at the bottom of their cabinet, so I will imagine later on I can put something here maybe. Okay, and then yeah, as usual the lamps that we can put on. Yeah, then I also search for a nighttime one just to get the mood or the colors that I want. So I want to go for something a bit more bluish so that I can play my lamp the warm tone, so that these are the complementing colors that um that looks nice in a shot. Okay, so I roughly have an idea, or like something like that would be nice on your scene. um okay, so I roughly have an idea. I want to do a night scene, and I want my key position to be coming from the lamp, and I want a rim light to come from a pretended window, and some beauty lighting on the background. Okay, so what I will do next is I will screenshot that, bring it to Photoshop. um I'll convert the image to a black and white image. Then I will start a bit of painting so that I can roughly imagine how my oh sorry, come on. So I can roughly imagine how my lighting will be. So probably I want to have the warm light that hits here, and then because it will hit this part of the scene, right? So I want it to hit around this area, and then it will shape your character, something like that. Okay, we don't want to go too frontal because that will basically flatten out your character. Then I imagine I want a cool rim that comes from the screen right side. So so this will be my rim, and then my key will be this one. Come on. I need to turn off the GeForce experience thing. Key. Yeah. Then like I said just now, we will probably want to do something like a beauty lighting to probably like some of these areas where we get a bit of the downlight from some this. And then I imagine other than the lamp, usually uh kitchen will have some ceiling lights or something that will help to give some lighting to my background, at least to um, help pick up some interesting details on the geometries. Okay, so that's my rough idea. Okay, so then I will go back into my scene. Okay, so what I will do first is I will normally create a environment light, so my sky dome, and of course we'll name it properly. LGT underscore env. Okay, then we'll create a group for it to make sure we organize our scene properly. Okay, call this the light group. Okay, and inside there I have my light env. Okay, so first thing I always do is go into my attribute editor, go to my light. Okay, my env light is, we always want the camera visibility to be 0, so we don't accidentally render the alpha of the environment light by default. Okay, so now we can test a render. Okay, so this is by default the environment light and how it looks like. Then like I said, I want to do a night scene, so I probably want to shift the colors to a bit bluish. Okay, maybe let's try something. Maybe I want to add a ramp. Then I want to get the top to be a bit bluish tone, dark blue tone. And then maybe bottom I want to get a bit of maybe a bit of purple. Not too, maybe not so saturated. Okay, so something like that. Let me just test render, see how it looks like. Okay, that's too saturated. So let me just adjust this. No, still too saturated. Yeah. Okay, maybe something like this. Okay, maybe the purple is too saturated. So let me just. Cool. Okay, so something like this. So just pretending all this ambient light is coming from my exterior window that comes in. Okay, so you can, as you can see, it already gives a bit of the shaping onto the character. Okay, so okay, before I move on, always remember to create a AOV for your lights. So I'll create a light group and call it ENV, and then just go into our AOVs. And the settings AOVs GPA underscore ENV. Okay, so that will be our ENV light. Okay, hold on, let me just okay, so ENV light. Okay, next what I will do normally is we will start with the key light. So just now we said that the key light we want it to be coming from this lamp. Okay, so what I will do now, because it's a lamp, and normally if you guys remember about the IES profile that I talked to you guys about, so this gives me basically some shaping for free for the lights. So I want to use this now because it gives me all these patterns for free, and I probably want to choose one that looks nice. Okay, I think this soft arrow looks not bad. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create lights, and then I'll create a photometric light. Okay, same thing, this I will call it the lamp 01. Okay, put it into your light group. Okay, select it in a scene, bring it up. Okay, okay, so something like that. Okay, and then we want to put in the IES profile for this slide. So go to your attribute editor, photometric file. Then I will need to go to my stash, then IES profile, and just now we say soft arrow. Okay, so I'll put in this IES profile, And then of course we want to add some exposure to it. Just try 15 first. And I want a warm light, so let me just use a orange light. Okay, let's render. Okay, so before that, remember I will create an AOV. So lamp 01 to render settings. Okay, so continue rendering. So now, okay, so this is the light that I added. Obviously it's too saturated. So now I go to my light. Okay, shift the saturation down. Touch. Cool. Okay, not bad. And then probably I want it to be a bit more hotter, a bit more brighter. So we feel the key. Yeah, I think this is not too bad. Okay, so then I will stop my rendering as take a screenshot. So ambient with the key light. Okay, the position is looks pretty good. It gives the triangle on the opposite side of the face. It gives the face a nice shaping. So I think that's nice. Okay, so next I want to have a rim on the screen right side of the character. So I will use this lamp to pretend as the motivation of the light. So what I can do, I will just duplicate this lamp light and then rename it to O2. Change the AOV to O2. But I don't want it to be the same warm light because I want the cold and warm light cool and warm light in this scene. So I will just go to this, change it to a cool tone, and then shift the light out. Okay, I will just put it at where the lamp is first and see what it gives me in the render. Okay, I'll just do my render. Okay, wait. Always remember to have your AOVs so that you can check what those lights specifically they are doing to your characters. Okay, so now go back. Okay, go to my lamp tool. Okay, you see that the shaping is not as nice as I wanted it to be. I want it to give me a nice outline of the character. So first, the exposure probably is too low. Maybe 2 stops more. Let's try 18. Okay. Okay, not too bad. But the shaping not very nice. So now it's when we'll go in. Okay. So you go in and then we'll start reposition this because people cannot see this lamp, so we can put wherever we want the light to be to art direct where our light is hitting the character. So I just shift it a bit more backwards. Now it's too back. Nope. Let me just shift it a bit closer. Yep. Getting the nice highlight on the hand. Maybe I just shift it forward a little bit. Cool. This is giving me a nice read. Okay, just change back. Okay, not too bad. Probably a touch too frontal. I'll just shift it back. Okay, just a little bit. Okay, cool. So that is with the rim light added. So now you can really see that our scene starts to come alive, and then we starts to have nice shaping onto the characters, and the lighting is starting to come alive. Okay, so what's next is our background now looks super dull. And what we can do is okay, so just now our reference, let me just take a look at reference again, has this downlight that it's at the back of the cabinets. Okay, so what I can do is I'll create another area light. Okay, so this will be the down light. Okay, just put in down light, give it an AOV. Remember to create. Okay, then now, okay, as usual, we need to position it at where it's supposed to be. So we shift this. Okay. Okay, we want to rotate this downwards, so we go to the where is it? Actually, nope. This one, rotate -90. Okay, so it's downwards, and then we want to rotate this -90. Okay, so something like that, and we want to position it where. Okay, so I want to imagine that it's here. So I'll just scale it accordingly. Okay, maybe a bit thinner. Okay, a bit higher. Okay, cool. So that will probably give me a likes there. And okay, so by default, let's add some exposure to it. So maybe 15. Let's try as a start. Cool, nice. Seems like it's giving me what I want. Let's just check down like, yeah, not too bad. Cool. White color seems pretty nice as well. Let me just check. Yeah, maybe it's just a touch too bright. Maybe I just reduce exposure a bit. 14. Let's try again. I know I like the brighter one. So 15. Yeah, this one we feel the core, the energy of the light a bit more. So this is nice. Okay, then let me just save this image. So now we are starting to populate lights to light up our background to give a bit more interest. Okay, so one thing, since we have this rim that comes out from the screen, right, which we pretended it to be the window, we need this light to, we need something to tie into this light. Now you see our background is so dark, and if the light is hitting her so brightly here, we expect some illumination onto the cabinets on the screen right side here. Okay, so so this is when I would think, oh, maybe I'll put a ceiling light somewhere here to pretend that no, there's some light source that helps to tie into to this light to give some motivation to it. Okay, and so what I'll do is again, I'll just look at my IES profile, see if there's anything that I can use. Yeah, I just want something like the broad lights like that simulate a comet or umbrella. Looks pretty okay to simulate some kind of ceiling light. Okay, so probably I'll try to use the umbrella. Okay, so I'll duplicate the lamp. Okay, this will call the ceiling light. Okay, and then we want to change the IES profile to the umbrella. Okay, then we want to shift it outwards, and then we want it to illuminate our cabinets a little bit. So this will give some nice shaping. Maybe we don't want to be so center, we offset it a little bit. Okay, we're keeping it as the same color so you feel the connection, and create an AOV for it, don't forget. Okay, go to ceiling. Okay, start rendering. Okay, cool. Yeah, obviously it's too bright, and I think it's like it's brightening up the scene too much. So I will reduce the exposure, maybe 15. We just want something to help tie in with this. Like we don't want to overly um brighten up our scene. Okay, not too bad. I just probably don't like the saturation because this is blue, and with the blue it makes it more blue. So I'll just reduce the saturation tiny bit. Probably want to shift in a little bit just so probably it's too close to the. Okay, I just want to get some illumination at the back. Probably it's still a touch too bright. Let me just check. Yeah, probably I'll play it something like that, minus about 2 stops. So we'll just reduce 13. Yeah, maybe 14. Okay, something like that. Okay, not too bad. We'll just take a screenshot of this so later we can see the progress. So now we added this light to help tie in this rim light on the character. So what we want next is probably we want some illumination onto this side of the scene as well. So we can just duplicate this ceiling light if we want, then start shifting this to give some nice shaping to our background assets. Okay, let's try. Okay, probably it's too frontal. I just stop the shift. Yeah, it's too bright there. I don't really enjoy the light being so bright there. Okay, maybe you shift it backwards a bit more. I don't like the pattern that is casting on the wall. Shift it outwards a little bit. Okay, it gives the the bows and all a bit of shaping. So now maybe I increase the exposure a tiny bit. Okay, probably not too bad. The red color is probably too saturated now. I mean the textures on the wall. But okay. So far it's not bad. Now when I look at the key, okay, let me just take a screenshot. Now I look at the key, probably it can comes out a bit more. So our characters will pop more from the background. So I'll go back to my key. That's my key, lamp 1, and then probably increase half a stop more. Just take a look. Okay, not bad. I think if we increase a bit more, it would be too blown out. Let's try. Yeah, it is too much. 16 and a half is pretty okay. Okay, so so at this point of time, let's say I'm satisfied with my lighting already. So I will just let it resolve a bit more. Um, okay, okay. Since it's a demo, I don't need to let it resolve until all the noise are cleared. Okay, I'll just save a screenshot. Okay, so let's look through how this whole process is done until this point of time. Oh, so we have basically just a few lights, 5, 6. Then we start with our ambient. We put in our key light. We start adding our rim light. Then we start adding background lights onto our set. Okay, add in another ceiling light, pattern of ceiling light, rebalancing the overall image. Okay, so once I'm happy with this, what I'll do next is probably I will split the character, render the set separately, but in this demo, I will just keep everything as one, and I will put in the depth of field baked in with this camera. So how we do that in Maya is we'll go to our camera. So go to my render cam. Okay, select the camera, go to its shape, scroll down, you go to your Arnold tab here. Okay, enable depth of field. So enable DOF. Okay. Um so by default the focus distance and all for all hours will be different. Because I just reinstalled my Maya, so these are the default settings. Okay. Focus distance means where the focal point will be on this image. So for example, this I want the focal distance to be at the character. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to select a geometry that is I cannot select my character because it's a reference or something. I'll just select the knife which is closer to it. Okay, so before I already have this set up, but if you guys don't have this display information, so you go to display, um, heads up display, and you turn on object details here. Okay, once you do that, and if you select a geometry, and it tells you distance from camera is 141.1912 units. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go to the camera, go to the focus distance, and we'll punch in the same number, 141.1912. let's just round up 142. Okay, then aperture size basically means the bigger the number, the more blur your background will be. So let's just start with 0.5 first. Okay, and then let's do a render. Okay, and you can start seeing some of your stuff starts to get defocused in the background. So if you see what it had before, okay, so probably it's not too obvious. You can see it subtly, it's defocus. But say you want to exaggerate this look, you can just punch in the higher values for the aperture size. Then you get a really blur look on the back. Okay, and of course, the higher, the more blurry your background is, the more samples you'll need to resolve all this the resolution. So you'll end up increasing your AA samples a lot to compensate for that noise. Cool. So that is the defocus, and the blade. The aperture blade basically means like, okay, for example, let me just save this. And then let's just do a crazy say maybe for 3. So it will do not have a highlight there. So basically it gives you a 6 gives you a slightly rounder shape. So for example, if I give a 3, right, sometimes when you look through when you're doing your photography, if you only have 3, basically it gives you a triangle bokeh, and the more blades your lens have, the rounder your bokeh will look. So what I normally do is I'll go to the internet, and I'll look at the lens that I'm using. Probably I just randomly find a lens. So this is the 50mm Nikon lens, and if I scroll down, you see that it's a rounded 9 blade lens. So I will change this to a 9 one if I want to mimic this lens effect, and then um, render from there. So sometimes when you have a very bright pink highlight, you will see the pattern change if you change the blade, the number of blades. So like a 3 will give you a triangle, and yeah, think probably 2 is a bit too much defocus. Let me just put back to just 1. Okay. Okay, I'll just let it resolve a bit more, and then I'll save it. Cool. I think I'll just stop it here. But of course, normally when you render, you'll just let it resolve a lot more. Okay, I'll just save it here. Okay, and I will save this file. Okay. Then that will be my okay. So before I close this off, just now we said that we want her to move out of that light at her ending pose. So let's just double check at our ending pose and do a render. Cool. Looks like she exits the cone of that top light towards the end. Cool. That way, when we render it on once, we will see the transition between when she exits that top light. Nice. And in cases where the top light is still too much, then you'll play with your spread or your cone angle, just so it's nicely designed that she exits towards the end of the shot. And it's nice that the rim towards the end gets brighter. It enhances the pose stronger, which is a nice look. Um, yeah, I quite like it. I will just stop it here, take a screenshot. Cool. So we'll just go through again. So we start with an environment light. I will add in my key light to start off. Add in my rim light. Then we'll start adding all the beauty lighting to our backgrounds. Okay, rebalancing the lights. then add in the defocus if we need, then test other frames to make sure it does not break. So let me just also test a frame at the beginning just to make sure nothing broke. Cool. Yeah, it still gives me a nice feeling of the shot. So yep. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you. Okay, so today's session will be talking about cryptomats. So how we can generate IDs automatically through Maya and use them in compositing to do any necessary tweaks that you guys will eventually want to fine tune on your renders. So if you guys are interested in the documentation, it's in the Maya documents and under AOVs cryptomats. Um, so you can go and read more on it if you want. Basically, it outputs these three different AOVs for us. So crypto assets, crypto material, and crypto object. Okay, later we will take a look at what are those. Okay, so I'll be using this scene since we already have it set up on the previous session. So the lights are already set up with all the AOVs. Okay, so how do we get the crypto AOV is basically we scroll down to all the available AOVs and there's these three as crypto assets, material and object. So you just need to put it over to the active AOVs. So this will render out for you. So let's do a test render. Okay, then let's just check the AOVs. So if you scroll down, crypto asset. Okay, so basically assets means like your assets that you bring in, like your character, the knife, which is a separate one, and the set, which is a separate one. So the tree selection. Then if we go to the materials, basically it will split out based on the material that was assigned to the geometry. So if you have all of this asset that is like the stone material or the glass material or the grass material, so all of them will be classified under the same colors. So during the selection, you will select all of it at once. So this is crypto material, and the last one is objects. So basically, this will give us individual um, geometries as a separate IDs that we can eventually pick up from or in Nuke. Okay, so these are the three IDs that we will be outputting, and I will just do a render so that we can see those files in Nuke. Okay, so but before I moved on, so in case you guys do not have the Cryptomatte set up in your Maya, so what you need to do is you can go to Psyop, the website. I'll put it in the link description later, so you guys can take a look, and you can just download this and install it in your Maya. And again, you need the one that's for the Nuke version, so you will download this as well. So you have the Nuke ones to actually have the gizmo or the plugins to use it later on to go along with the IDs. Okay, so all this later I'll put the link in the description. So if you need it, just go there and grab it. Okay, so now I'll just go do a sequence render, and I'll just render one frame out, and we'll bring the EXR into Nuke and take a look. Okay, let me open my Nuke. Okay, let me check the EXR. Okay, so this is my renders. Okay, so now if I use the layer contact sheet node, I should see all the AOVs inside. So I have my, okay, let's turn on the names. So I have all my likes AOVs, and I got all my IDs that comes in that looks a bit weird, which is fine. So okay, so after you install your Cryptomatte plugins, you will get this icon here on the left side, the tool panel. You'll get the Cryptomatte, so you can just use that node. Okay, so by default it starts with crypto assets. So you can, as you can see, 3 different ones. So say I want to select the character itself, I can use this picker add, hold down Control and click on um, the area. So now you can see that it's selected, and if you press A, you'll see that the alpha is selected. So now what we can do is, let's say I have, let's say I want to darken. I mean, that's not what I want to do, but as a demonstration, let's say I want to darken down her exposure. So what we can do is we can create an exposure node. Okay, then we can link to your Cryptomatte that you selected, which is her, and mask the exposure node to your Cryptomatte, and say I want to reduce the exposure by a stop. So there you can basically just expose down her easily with that selection. Okay, so again, say you want to do more fancy stuff. Okay, I will just create another Cryptomatte. Okay, just plug into here. Okay, so now maybe we use the second one, which is the material. Okay, so say I want to tweak her skin color. So now again, we'll just use this picker app. We'll click on this. It will select that area. Okay, say I not only want to tweak her skin, I want to add maybe other parts of the her into that selection. I can just hold down Control and click on the areas again. So it adds on top of what was already selected. Okay, but for now, I just want to tweak the skin. Okay, so say the skin color it's not as nice as I wanted it, so I can add a grade node, plug it to the Cryptomatte. So now if I were to do like a bit of green, so maybe I put a bit more warmth into the skin tone, so it feels like there's blood inside her instead of so pale. So yeah, I can actually push it a bit more so that you see the difference. And then now we are just tweaking just the skin area, so it does not break anything, right? Okay, and then let's check the last mode that is available. So let's just try. Okay, which is object. So this will give you a lot of selection. So even you want to select parts of her clothes to tweak the things, you can do that. Or yeah, I mean basically you get a lot of selections that you possibly will need in your final phase of your compositing that you want to fine tune things. Okay, so what's nice about all this Cryptomatte is, let's say you're facing a very tight deadline and you do not have time to re-render your scene, and say your supervisor or your director suddenly say no, this clothes is in the wrong color, it's supposed to be green, and you don't have time to render it overnight. So what you can do now is you can use a Cryptomatte. Okay, so say I choose the material and I select just the clothes. Okay, I can use a grade and I can just grade the clothes to, just now we said green. Yeah, and we can choose the color just like that. So saving the trouble to re-render everything again, we can fix problems like that. But of course, having said that, I'm not expecting all of you guys to render everything in white, or no, I do not shade anything, so I just put the color later on in post. No, that's not how you should be using all these Cryptomatte. It's supposed to help you to push that final bits, the last bit of your fine tuning of your project, and not help you to achieve what it's supposed to look like. Like like what I have like like what I just show you guys. Like you should not be rendering the skin in white and then put the color on in Nuke later on. Okay, so there's more things that we can do with this. So say in actual, I mean in production, say okay, maybe I want to take down the key light that was hitting this board is too bright, it's blowing out here and it's grabbing a lot of attention here. So what we can do is we can shuffle out that AOV. Okay, should be lamp1. Okay, I worked on it so I know which AOV is it. Okay, so I shuffle out this lamp light, and what we need is we need a cryptomatte of this bow. Okay, so after I shuffle out first, I will do a mask, a merge, and I change it to from. Okay, so in here, if I view, it will be removing that lamp light, right? So it will be removing, let me just rename this node so we can understand. Lamp 01. Okay, so that is removing that lamp light. Okay, and then after removing, we want to plus it back later on after we do the tweaks, right? So we can push this. Okay, and then this will be plus. Okay, so this image here should look exactly the same as the initial render, right? And what we can do now is, okay, after we shuffle out and we say we want to darken down this area, so let's create the Cryptomatte first. Okay, and we want to, okay, find the maybe material selection. Okay, this bow. Okay, click on the picker add, control click on the colors that you want. Oh, there's too many that will be selected. I just need this bow. So let's just try object. Okay, picker add. Okay, click on the bow. Okay, so now it just gives me this bow. Okay, so just now we were in material. That's why it's selecting everything that is the same material. So no, we don't need to do that. We just want to take down the exposure on this bow. So we can use the object mode and just click on this bow. So now it's just single bow that is selected. Okay, then what we can do is we can add the exposure node on this lamp light and plug it to the Cryptomatte, which is the bow, and then we can take down the exposure, say one stop. Okay. Yeah, it feels like it sits in the scene. Maybe because it's a glass material, it will be slightly a bit reflective and brighter. Maybe I just push a bit more, but yeah, you can see from really blown out to a decent looking bow. Then we plus this back to our original render. So before and after, just tweaking the bow. So these are the usage that you can do with all these Cryptomattes. And what's the beauty of this is the Cryptomattes works with all your depth of field. So even if it's defocus or motion blur, it will still give you the matte accordingly. So this saves you a lot of time to create your own IDs. Let's say you are using the Hypershade to create all the IDs yourself. This saves you a lot of time and it gives you almost everything that you need in your scene. So yeah, so that is Cryptomatte and how you can use it. Okay, before I end this session, I just want to share. So there's two ways that you can install your Cryptomatte plugin. So after you download it from the website, right? There's two ways. So one way is you can change your environment variables, and you will add a new one, and you'll path it to nuke underscore path, and you'll browse the directory, and you'll choose where you downloaded the plugin, and plug it to the /nuke folder. Okay, so for my case, if you scroll down, I path it to my Nukepedia Cryptomatte /nuke, which is the directory that consists this gizmo. Okay, or alternatively, some people like to do is they will go to their .nuke folder, which is in their user directory, their computer, and there's this .nuke folder. They will just paste in the gizmo that is here. Okay, so the difference between changing the environment variable and putting it here. Okay, if you put it in the .nuke folder, it will appear in your plugins, all plugins, and if you update, it will appear here. I do not have it here, so but if you guys install it that way, you'll get it here. If you change the environment variable, it will give you this icon here, and you'll have this here. So it really depends on what you like or what you prefer. So yeah, so this is the how you install, download, and use Cryptomatte. Um, and yeah, if you like the content, do remember to like, share, subscribe, or comment if you want to ask me any question. And thank you. Okay, so today I'll be going through this scene again. So since we already have the lighting set up, so I thought we'll just go through how we'll properly set up all the render layers, and then set it to render. And hopefully maybe the next session that we come back to this, I will just put all the renders together in comp, and then just some minor tweaks and export out as a MOV or something. Yeah, so today's session we'll be talking about setting up render layers. So basically what that means is if we will want to have this in production, we probably want to split the characters with the background separately, so the compositor has a bit more room to do what they want to do with the background, the foregrounds, and a bit more controls. And also it helps you lighten your renders. For example, if you're rendering your foreground pass, you can turn off the displacement or your subdivision in your background, so that helps you lighten up your render time and stuff. Okay, so first off, how do we create render layers is by clicking on this icon here. It will open up this panel basically. Okay, and okay, so once you open up this panel, I'll just briefly go through the scene portion. So this basically means that any settings tweaked to here will apply to the whole scene, right? So you got your render settings, basically means all your, okay, let me just change this to Arnold. Okay, so you got all your samples control, your motion blur, your depth of field, and then all your AOV stuff. Okay, so these are your render settings, and you got AOVs as well, which we will set up as well to make sure you output the correct thing. And then here you got your likes. So this is where it shows you all your likes in your scene, and you can change them accordingly if you want. And then we can tweak the exposure if you want. But okay, let me just set it back. Okay. But today we are not using that because we already set up our lighting like how we want already. So we'll not be doing that. Okay. So let me just arrange my workspace. Okay, cool. So how we want to split this in? I mean, for me, maybe I will just do a two pass, background and the foreground. The background being everything behind the characters, and the foreground being the table together with the character. Okay, so we'll start off by clicking this icon. It creates a render layer. So let's just do the background first. We'll call it the set kitchen. Okay. Okay, then we can view from here. Okay, so basically inside this layer, right now there's nothing. That's why you are getting an empty scene here. So how we can add geometries into this layer is by creating collections. So right click on this layer, you create collections. Okay, so this will be my main kitchen, oh not main actually, it's my background kitchen geometry. Okay, spell correctly. Okay, can. Okay, so if I look into my scene, under the set, I have already grouped them background, foreground, background, foreground. So this is the background layer. So we'll just put in all the BG stuff. Okay, so how to add collections? How to add the geometries to the collections? There is different ways. You can select them in your outliner, middle mouse click and drag into this area like that, or you can, let me just remove them, or you can select them in the outliner and click on add. Also you can bring them in here, and there's another way by using expression. So this, say I can, okay, maybe I'll just use a simpler scene so we can go through easier. So I have this set up beforehand. So it's just some spheres and some cubes, and they are in different groups. So basically group A is all the spheres. I mean spheres A group is all the spheres. Then I got cube A and cube B, which is the smaller cubes and the bigger cubes. Okay, so say I want to create a render layer for the spheres, right? I'll add a collection. Okay, this will be my spheres geo, right? So what I can do in this using expression is I can say, so we'll use pipe geo, pipe again, and then sphere, and I can just put star pipe and then star. So what this does is it will, if I click view all, it will shows me what my expression is pulling in. So these are all the geometries that will be selected. So what is good about this is, say at some point I update, I create more spheres, right? And then all this, I create more spheres, for example. And then if I go to view all those spheres will be automatically added into your collection. So it's good to help you catch all these things that if you're to do it manually previously, like if you just click this and drag in here, you will miss out the tool that you later on add on. So there's good things about expression if you know how to use them. So okay, I'll repeat again. So how to get the this how to get the collection reads all everything that's within this sphere group is we'll use pipe. Okay, so and we'll choose, okay, so by default is geo, right? So we'll go to geo. Okay, pipe again, so because that's the next hierarchy. Then sphere. Okay, I didn't type sphere a underscore group, instead I just use a x3. So that basically means sphere and anything that has a sphere in the front will be collected into this collection. Okay, then pipe again, and then star. So star basically means everything. So everything within this group will be selected in this expression. Okay, view again, make sure everything is inside. Okay, okay. So let's say now I want to do the cube A. Okay, cube A selection will be, okay, that's me cube A geometry. Okay, so say I want to put the cube A's inside here. So if we were to do the same thing, pipe geo, and then pipe again, so cube, and if we put star, pipe star, what this does is it will put in our A and B cubes together. So now you see that this S3 will not work if we want to do it this way, right? So we need to type cube A instead. So this way, if I press enter, I view, it will just pull in the cubes A geometry. Then same thing if you want to create the cube B, then we'll just use expression pipe geo cube B star pipe star. Okay, and then let's just double check. Yes, it gets it. Okay, so in cases that, okay, you know, I do not know this syntax, so how do I get it? Very easy. So you go to your collection, and then you say this is cube B. So you go to your cube B group. Okay, you middle mouse click this and you drag to the expression area. It will give you that syntax. And then what you need to do is just add in the pipe and then asterisk. So this will put in all the geometries inside. So it's exactly the same thing. Instead, I was lazy to type the underscore group. I just changed it to asterisk. So it just gives you the same thing as well. Okay, so that's a bit on the expression thing. If you can use it, if your scene is set up properly, everyone is following the hierarchy, the naming convention, like all the artists that's working on the shot is doing the naming correctly. So you can use this to your favor, like if all your artist is naming the background with a BG underscore set or something, then you can pull in everything easily. Okay, so right now I don't think it's set up that way. I'll just put in manually. So this is supposed to be the background kitchen. I'll just put background kitchen, okay, into the scene. Okay, okay, so now it has the background kitchen. Oh, let's just do a test render. Okay, it has nothing. Okay, just double check. Okay, so by default in options, include all lights in each render layer by default is turned on. Just now I was troubleshooting something, so I turn it off. So if you turn it on, okay, do a test render again. Okay, maybe I need to refresh my scene. Still nothing. Okay, let me just close this and reopen my no render view. Okay, so it just needs a restart. Okay, so now this is my background. So you'll be thinking this is it? No, because we have our characters in the foreground that is moving a bit, so that might or might not cast some shadows onto the background. So for safety wise, of course we can do some tests before and after with the characters and all to test whether it's contributing to a background. But for this case right now, I will just add it in to show you guys how to set it up if we really need the geometries there to be casting shadows. Okay, so we'll create a collection. So this will be our influencing geometry. Okay, so this will be all the foreground stuff, our character, the knife, and its carrot. Okay, let me just add them in. Okay, so now if we render, we get everything again. I think I need to force refresh the render update full scene. Okay, so now it will just give me everything. Okay, so how can I make use of the render layer to say I want to render this, but the foreground geometries, I just want it to be casting shadows. So basically turning off the visibility, right? So what I can do is I will just select any geometry. Okay, go to the attribute editor. Okay, go to its shape layer and inside Arnold. Okay, make sure you are selecting the influencing geometry. Okay, right click on the primary visibility, create absolute override. Okay, you'll see that under this collection, it creates this override within all the shape layers. So this is all the influencing geometries, and then star basically includes all your shape layer and apply this visibility to all the shape layers. So I want to turn it off. Okay, so now if I were to render again, hold on, let me. Okay, I should see the character gone, but it's there as the influencing casting shadow or occluding or bouncing off any lights if it needs into the background. Okay, so this set kitchen pass is done. So next what we need to do is we'll create our character pass, which will include the foreground, right? So same thing, we'll create a collection. So this will be our FG char geometry. Okay, so this will include the knife, the character, the foreground set, the carrot maybe. I mean not maybe, the carrot, yes. Okay, so let's view from here. Okay, you can see that now we are getting just our character, but weird thing is we are getting this white alpha now. Okay, so what could it be coming from? So let's go to our light group and just double check our ENV light. Make sure its visibility to camera it's off. Okay, just test render again. Okay, so now we get it working, but you can see that now it's so bright compared to what it's supposed to look like. And why is it so? Um, Obviously because the whole set is not there anymore, and now all the light are blasting in to the scene. So what we can do is create another collection. So this will be our influencing geometry. Okay, then inside this collection, we'll put in our background back in. Okay, so now again, before I just move on to test render, we want to turn off the visibility for this influencing geometry. So same thing, go to the geometry, go to the shape layer, right click on primary visibility, create absolute override for visible layer. Okay, once you see it turn orange, that means you are controlling it inside the render layer. Okay, so just turn it off. Okay, you see turn off. Okay, just test render again. Okay, let me update my scene. Okay, now you can see it looks like what it's supposed to look like in the scene, just that without the background. So now if we were to overlay this on top of our background layer, it should work. Okay, so that is the basics of render layers and how you can use them to help you set up your scene. Okay, so just now I mentioned that no, we can probably turn off the subdivision of our background layers to make it faster to render this pass. So what we can do, okay, same thing under the influencing geometry. Just select the layer, the collection I mean. Scroll down your inside Arnold tab, scroll down, subdivision. I can, oh, the subdivision is already none. Okay, so in cases where it's set to cat dark or linear, or so basically there's subdivision. What you can do is you can right click here, create absolute override for visible layer. So this will be the subdivision, and you can just turn it off here in cases where it's turned on. Okay, so right now by default my scene is set up as a none, so we just leave it. Okay, also what you can do is you can set up a render settings quality for your character pass. What I mean by that is I can go to my render settings. Okay, so say now it's just the first pass that we want to render, right? So I will right click this, create absolute override. Okay, same thing, we want to create this as well, create the specular transmission, SSS, and this one. Okay, so now we have these render settings, and we have this chunk of values that we can change. And say no, it's just the first pass. My A samples can be 2, the diffuse and specular can be 1, transmission maybe 2 can, or maybe just put it back to 1. No, I think leave it at 2. Yeah, so just some optimization compared to your. So now if I were to disable this, the values is 3222, and then now if I enable this, you see that the values change. So, and what I can do now is I can select all the overrides. Okay, before that I'll just create another collection. Okay, I'll just name this the low settings. Okay, select all the low settings, middle mouse click into the low settings. So now I have a set of low settings, and then say no, I have set up uh, a high settings, and I already know what values I want to put in. So I can, same thing, I'll create absolute override again on this. Okay, and then we'll create another collection, call this the high settings. Then we'll put this inside the high settings. Okay, so if you have two collections like that, it will take the later one. So say you want to render low settings, but so what you need to do is you need to click on this to disable it. Okay, if it's enabled, it will override the top ones. So say in this one, our A samples is maybe 4, diffuse samples is 3. You can leave the rest at 2. Yeah, so basically you can set up different render settings for different output, and then all this can be reused in your other passes. Or if you're working in a team, you can pass all these settings to your fellow artists by exporting um, the render settings, and then your colleague will just import in your settings. Okay, so that helps to streamline. Everyone is using the same samples, and then we are judging the image based on the same quality, instead of someone render in a very high quality and then someone render in a very low res, and then when people are judging the shot, there's a very drastic difference. So that's how you guys can streamline your workflow. Okay, so that's how so there are some of the things that you can do to your um, render layers and some of the useful stuff basically. Okay, so now I will just remove this since I don't need it. Okay, and if you see a red color outline around this icon, basically it means that it needs a refresh, a reload to your layer. So you click on this, it will just update everything again. Okay, so that is how you create render layers. Okay, so if you find that this video is helping you and it gives you some information which help you in your workflow or something, do like, comment, and subscribe if you have any question, feel free to comment in the comment section to ask me. And thank you. See you next time. Okay, so now I saw that my AOVs wasn't set up, so I'll go in and set up my AOVs. So what I want to do now is I want to enable the AOVs that I probably will need, right? So if I scroll down, I want to check my diffuse indirect, maybe my spec indirect, maybe my subsurface if I have, transmission. Probably I want to enable my Cryptomatte as well. Yeah, maybe that's all first. Okay. I mean, at some point we want to enable our point, our depth, and stuff. Okay, let's just put it in. Okay, and then of course we are missing all our like AOVs which we did not set up previously, or I accidentally removed them. Okay, so I'll just go back to my attribute editor. Okay, so this is my ENV light. So make sure we select the light, go to the shape under light group, we just give it a name. So this will be my lamp1, lamp2, downlight, ceiling, and ceiling. Oh, ceiling 1. Let's just split the light. Okay, then we'll go to our AOVs. Okay, add custom RGBA underscore ENV, which is our first one. Okay, then we have our lamp 01. Let me just double check the name that I set for it. Okay, it's correct. Okay, just add lamp 02, downlight, ceiling, ceiling 1. Okay, so let's just double check the naming, the spelling. Okay, seems okay. Okay, so now I'll just do a test render to make sure all my settings, all my AOVs are there as expected. Okay, have it resolved? Okay, I'll check my P. Okay, that's fine. Ceiling. Okay, that's good. Ceiling 1. Okay. Downlight. Okay. ENV. Okay. Lamp 1. Lamp 2. Okay. Let's check. Okay. Yeah, the map seems to be, I mean the IDs and all seems to be all working. Okay, so that's great. Okay, so now, okay, before we moved on, let's also double check our render settings. Okay, so EXR, that's the standard. Okay, we want to put this not to single frame. So name underscore hash extension. Okay, we can do this. Okay, let me see other option. Okay, I think that's fine. Then for extension, the render frame range is 1. No, it's actually minus 44. 2 109. Okay, increment by 1. Okay, version label, let's just set to 1. Okay, main cam, we don't need to render our perspective. 1080, which is correct. Okay, let's just also double check our sampling. So of course we need to check the sampling to make sure it's working. So this one we'll come back to it later. Just make sure everything is doing the correct thing. Nothing weird. Environment, okay. Motion blur, yeah, okay. Remember to turn on motion blur when you guys are rendering, so you don't get the stroby look in your renders. Okay, operators, lights. Yeah, that's fine. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so looks like we have most of the stuff set up. So now what we want to do is make sure we are inputting the correct samples for our renders. Okay, so what I can do is I'll go back to my let me save it first. Okay, I'll go back to my the scene view from the scene so I can render everything together. Okay. Okay. We just select a region, so shift select somewhere. Okay, so we can just let it resolve those area. Okay. Okay, just let it resolve, and we can check the quality. Okay, so like I mentioned in my previous video, first what I will do is I'll check my lights to make sure the lights are having enough samples. It looks like the ceiling light needs some increment. Okay, I'll check my ceiling light one. Probably not much downlight. Yeah, looks like it needs a bit as well. Okay, ENV. Yeah, oh, our ENV is really noisy. Lamp 1. Yeah, it's quite noisy as well. Lamp 2. Yeah, it's quite noisy as well. Okay, so as a start, let me just save this render. Beauty, save this render. Okay, I will go to render setting. No, I will go to my lights. Okay, so just now we said that our ENV, okay, let me just pause this. We said that our ENV lights is really noisy, so maybe I'll just push the light samples to 3. Okay, and then our lamp light, just now we saw it, it's quite noisy as well. So same thing, we'll maybe use 3 samples. Okay, lamp 2, let's just double check again. Yeah, it's quite noisy, so we'll just put to 3. Okay, downlight, let's check. A tiny bit, maybe we just use 2 for this. Ceiling, yeah, it's quite noisy. It's not so much on the direct side, but it's the indirect areas, it's a bit noisy. Okay, maybe I'll just push it to 2. And my ceiling, let's just double check again. Maybe just put it to 2. Okay. Okay, so now let's just test render again and see this how well this new settings is giving us. Okay. Again, take note, I haven't turned on my depth of field because I just want to nail down all the settings of my lights and all first. And because once we turn on our depth of field, it will take even longer for me to iterate and find all these samples settings. Okay. Okay, still resolving. Okay. It's still quite noisy. Okay, so now after we push all our light samples, now what we can do is we can check our diffuse itself. Okay. Okay, our diffuse itself is already wait, let me just go to my AOVs again. Put in my diffuse direct and my spec direct. Okay, let's render again. Okay, so now if I go to my diffuse direct, yeah, you can see it's still a bit noisy. Okay, let's just check the indirect as well. Yeah, the indirect is really noisy. But it's still resolving, so let's just wait a while and check. Okay, so this is fully resolved. Oh, it's really noisy, huh? So let's check the whole thing. Yeah, okay. So what we can do now is we'll increase the AA samples, say try 5. And of course, we do not need to fix the the noise so clear because now we have the noise function, so we can make use of that as well. So we just clean it up as much as we can with the samples not going crazy, and then the rest we can just use our denoiser to help us with it. Okay, yep, doesn't seem too bad now compared to previous, and now yeah, it's already much better. Okay, I'm a bit hesitant to push it more than maybe can push a little bit. Yeah, I think the indirect side probably can push a bit more. So as you can see now, it's taking quite long to render already with all these settings, and we are only at 15% of it. So I think it might give us quite a good result. Probably we just increase the indirect indirect samples a touch more, and then we should be fine. The rest we'll just leave it to the denoiser. So maybe we increase our, let's just see our specular indirect. Okay, actually our specular indirect is not much on our character, so mainly it's coming from the diffuse indirect. Yeah. Okay, so we can increase the samples for this. So we increase the diffuse, say 4. Okay, just let it run a bit. Okay, while it's running, let me just double check my render settings. Okay, always make sure you are merging your AOVs. If not, you'll get all the AOVs in a different file. So just merge your AOVs. How? I think half precision is good enough. Okay, the rest looks like what it's supposed to be. Okay. Yeah, I think it's looking better. Okay, there's a chance that we need to push our A samples once we enable the depth of field. So let's just wait for this to finish resolving, and we can check again. Okay, it's taking quite a while, huh? Okay, meantime, let me just double check everything else. Okay, it'll be rendering to a project file. Okay, I probably need to set my project as well. Okay, let me just not mess with it first. Okay, like you can see, it's quite clean on all these areas already, and it's at 10%. Okay, let's not just leave it resolving. I think I'll just stop it. Okay, I will just remove my region render. Okay, and I'll stop this. I will enable my depth of field now, since I get the settings to somehow what I'm liking. Okay, so how to enable depth of field? We'll select our render cam. So we'll go to the camera, select the camera. Okay, go to your attribute editor, scroll down, and there is this Arnold. Okay, enable depth of field. Okay, and then the focus distance. If you watch my previous video, you know that we need to select our to find the distance between the camera to the geometry that we want to focus on. So now once we select the geometry, you can see that the distance from camera is 169.533. So we will, if you want to focus on her, we will need this value in the focus distance. Okay, but let me just double check some other frames, like somewhere in the middle. What's the value? So it's 184. Okay, so it's changing a little bit. Okay. Okay, so I will, so it's between 180 something to 170. Okay, I'll just put something in the middle so that it Technically what we can do is we can export all this information and feed into the depth of field so it's animated and it sticks together with our um, character. But I think for now I'll just use a middle value. So now it's 183, 169, maybe 175 will be my focal distance. So select the render cam, change the focus distance to 175. Okay. Okay, the blade probably we want try 6. Okay. Okay, aperture size, let's just put it at 0.5 first. Okay, let's do a test render. Okay, let's just test okay, we can test this frame. Okay, maybe not resolving the full image is a better idea. Let's just region render this portion so we can see the foreground and we see the background. Okay. Okay, you do see your background starts to get defocused. Okay, 0.5. Okay, let's just stop this and I save this image. Okay, let's say we increase this aperture size to a higher value. How will it look? Okay, so basically again, like I mentioned in my previous video, the higher the value in the aperture size, the more defocused your background will be. So probably this is a bit too much for my taste. So I will just use maybe 0.55. I just want a bit more than what I had here. Okay, so 0.55. Then I'll let it resolve to see if I need to push out my AA samples to fix all the noise through the depth of field. Okay, we'll let it resolve. Okay, looks like it's really noisy here. So I think there's a chance that we need to push our samples even further. Yeah. Okay, let's just try this. And the layer name, and then we want to have a stop. Then we want our version dot. Then the frame. No, don't need it. Type extension version. Oh no, we can just put history 3 times, then dot file extension, which is the exr. Okay. Okay. Oh, surprisingly, it's not too bad though. I mean, see this more resolved area, and it's at 13%. It's not too bad. Yeah, I think I can live with that, and we can probably use the denoiser to help us if we need to clean up a bit more. But yeah, that seems like that seems fine to me. So I'll stop this render. Let's not waste any more time. Okay, so one last thing before we set this to render, make sure since we are going to depend on our denoiser eventually, just remember to output your denoising AOVs. Okay, then just do a last check. Okay, looks fine. Yeah, let me again set my project as well. It will be here, animation, half body. Okay, here. And does not contain a project. Okay, I'll create one. Okay, so okay, looks like everything is set and ready to go. So okay, so if this icon here is selected, that means it will be rendered. So it like same thing for your render layers. So we already know that our scene will be split out into a foreground and background. So we do not need to render our main beauty again with both of the with everything together basically. So now it's split out. Okay, so we render this and let's just double check everything is path correctly. File name .exr. Oh wait, wrong. This naming. Let me just remove this. Okay, so rendered layer name, version number. Okay, let's just put V so we know its version. So V1. Maybe not this. So yeah, just put one. Render layer name, then version, frame number, and extension. Okay, that looks correct to me. The padding looks like it's 4 padding. Since we know it's 3, we can change the padding to just 3. It makes it nicer to look at. Okay. Yeah, everything seems like it's set and ready to go. So I will send the render and I will just let it render in the background and we'll call it a session here today. So the next session we will probably put all the renders together through the denoiser and just put the renders together in Nuke and see how everything looks. Okay, so if you find that this video is helping you and it gives you some information, which help you in your workflow or something, do like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any question, feel free to comment in the comment section to ask me. And thank you. See you next time.
Wait, what? Crazy? You didn't say I was crazy. You think I'm crazy?
Okay, so last session, we ended off with setting all our settings and our render layers and kick off the renders towards the end of the session. So this session, we will just come back and pick up all the renders and put in Nuke and get a movie out of it. Okay, so but before that, after that session, I go through my renders and I set up another volume pass for the lamp light, which is in front of the character, and one more moon volumetric that is actually from the second lamp that we set up. Okay, so the colors is different, so I just name them a moon and a lamp. Okay, and also one thing to take note, after rendering, I noticed the animators that set up this file has the frame range starting off with a -44 to a end frame of 109. So that way, when we are rendering, the padding change, and because of the padding change plus there is this negative symbols in the um, render layers, the files. Nuke doesn't pick up this whole frame range as one, so it's split out differently, and it's a mess. So basically, let me just see if I can show you. You end up with files like that with the very weird paddings for the single digit with the negative. Then you have your 3 padding with which is the correct one, and padding of 2 with the symbols. And yeah, so basically Nuke doesn't read them all as one. So unfortunately, so what I have to do is I will need to go in. I mean, I went through all the frames and I renamed them by hand one by one. Of course, we can write a script to eventually rename the files accordingly to the timestamps, and we just replace that section of the frame numbers. But yeah, I just went in and do it manually. Probably next time I can share how we can do some renaming script. Okay, so that's all, and yeah, so now just take a look in Nuke. Okay, so I quickly put together, so I import in all the renders, and this is just everything A over B, so there's no tweaks within them, there's no exposure change, and so these are all renders. Let me just double check. Why is frame not changing? Okay, should we have it? Okay, so now it's working. Yeah, it's just when pulling in again, there's some weird Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've already put together all the render layers. So basically we have our background, our characters, the volumes, two volumes, and then just the right node. So this is how it looks. Okay, so first thing normally what I like to do is I'll just assess how the image look, and so now the background does feels a slight touch too sharp to me, and also maybe it's a touch too bright, so I will just do exposure. Okay, then change the density to stops. Maybe I'll just reduce half a stops just so that we look at the foreground a bit more. So quick, and then I can add a defocus. Then just set it to maybe 5. Okay, so yep, that's fine for me. Okay, so now okay, so this is how I like my background to be. Okay, so next say the character pass, and it has this bow that's really bright. Like previously we did this Cryptomatte to take down this portion. So what we can do now is similar. We will shuffle out the light, which we know it's the lamp one. Okay, then we remove it from the main pass. Okay, then we pass it back later on. Change this to plus. Okay, so the image should look the same before and after. Yep. Okay, so what next is we need the mat of that bow. So I have my Cryptomatte. So we just bring the Cryptomatte, select the picker, pick the bow. Okay, and we will use that as a mat, and we will use exposure to just expose down the bow. Okay, let's just try one stop. Okay, okay, with and without the twigs. Yeah, feels better. Okay, then okay, so it looks pretty cool. So now we need to see my volume. Okay, so when I start introducing the volume, okay, so this is from the lamp, which is too bright now. So what I would do is, oh, if you guys notice there's this switch, it's just how I'm wiring that frame to make sure it works. Because I did not rename all the frame numbers, I just rename a portion of it to remove the negative part, and then I'm merging back the rest of it on the second half. Okay, so I just add a grid. Say I want to narrow down that cone, I can just do this. Okay, maybe something like that, and I just want to reduce it. Okay, so that it feels like there's a bit of volume there. Yeah, probably it's a touch too much to my taste. Yep, something like that. Then, okay, again, the second volume that we read, yes, too bright. So same thing. Can go in and just reduce the exposure. I mean the multiply, and we can just narrow it a little. Yeah, it's too much. Cool. Yeah, I mean just some very basic compositing. So again, I like to work very organized. So I have my set, which is the background, then all my characters and all my volumes will come in the tree, and I as a habit, let's just work with all the wires line up properly, not like a spider web everywhere over the place. Just so that if happens that this file needs to go to another artist, it will be easier for them to find what they need to do and tweak accordingly. So cool. So these are some of the basic stuff that we put together. Then say at the end of the day, before my output, I want to um, add some aberration maybe. So my chromatic aberration, I can just put it. So now this will give me this stuff fringing effect. Yep. So we can reduce the multiplier if you feel that it's too much. Yeah, tiny bit of it. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then let's say you want to go flashy, you can use this Expo Glow gizmo, which you can download from Nukepedia. And then what this does, it will glows the bright area. Okay. So how we can tweak this is we can preview it, and now we can just shift this so that we are just getting the dark areas. I mean, not the dark areas, the bright parts of the scene. Okay, so say something like that, and I remove that preview. You can see that the glow is just along these bright areas. And of course, this is definitely like too much. So we can reduce the multiplier of the gain, or the gain if you want. Okay, so that's very subtly glowing all the bright areas. Still touch too much. Yeah, okay, something like that. Okay, then what other stuff that you can do? Okay, so because this is a static shot, right? Say I want to get a maybe a handheld movement. You can add a camera shake if you want. Okay, of course I will not pipe here. I'll just use a checkerboard because it will be very slow to iterate with all my renders there. So I just use a quick checkerboard. Okay, if I plug in the camera shake by default, it will just give me this very high frequency jitter around. Okay, so then of course I can tweak the amplitude lower and then reduce the frequency if we want, so that it feels like a handheld movement uh, if we want it. But yeah, I'm not deciding to do that for this call. It's just something that came to my mind that you can do. Okay, what else you can do? Oh, you can add in a vignette if you need. Okay, so that basically it's your um, vignette. So with and without. Okay, it's a bit much for my taste, so I will reduce the amount. Okay, I like to keep it very subtle. Yeah, something like that. Then check my output. Yep, let's look at some other frames. Yep. Yeah, so I think if that is done, I will just shuffle out, I will just remove the alpha. I do a crop in case you're adding elements that's exceeding this resolution. I just reformat everything just in case somewhere down the pipe I accidentally change something, and I'll just write out my EXRs to a folder. Okay, so now after writing out my EXRs, let's just take a quick look at how it looks like. Okay, so if I play through, it looks like that. Yep, so this is already pre-rendered, so I don't waste you guys time. So it's pre-rendered, and in this I added a small light lens flare, which I can show you how it's done. There is this gizmo called Flare Factory. Okay, it's a very heavy gizmo, so it takes a while to load. So just let it load. Okay, as you can see, it takes a while. Okay, so if I view from that node, okay, so I get the point where my flare is generated. Okay, then I can change my flare to a different kind of flare that I need. Okay, so say I change to a blue. Um, yeah, this is the typical lens flare that this person will use. Okay, and of course now I just want something from for my warm light, so I will just find say a warm light. Let's just take a look how it looks. Just configure. Okay, so say something like that, and I will just plus it on top of my renders. Okay, I need to shift that to somewhere where I know my light source is. Okay, of course there's a lot of settings that you can tweak, like you can adjust the cost, you can adjust your radius size if you want. You can, let me just put it down a bit. Hold on, let me just, okay, say something here. Okay, yep. It's too bright for my taste, so I will just again mix it down if I need, or not mix it down. I can go into my core and then I can reduce the mix if I want. Or you can tweak the gain to reduce the brightness. Okay, go to the rays. The rays looks a bit too sharp for me, so I can believe I can blur the rays slightly. Yep. Then okay, let's just see. This is the ray. This is what the core is doing, and chroma. Yeah, this is a bit too bright, so I'll reduce the mix to none. Yeah, I don't like it. And then this one, yeah, no. If you want to go fancy, I don't know, doesn't looks too nice to me. Yeah, so now we're getting all this subtle lens flare effect on the image, and let's take a look with and without. Yeah, it's a bit much, so I can reduce the mix. Yep, something subtle like that, and yeah, and then I'll re-export that. So this is how it looks with everything come together. Cool. And then I guess the next thing I'll do is I'll just put into either Premiere or After Effects, and I'll put in the audio to export out the full movie. Okay, when you see when you render with motion blur, and towards the end there is this subframe causing some artifacts. So this has to go back to anim to get them to fix it. I believe it's some subframe issues that's causing that. Cool. I'll put in the movie with sound towards the end of this video. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or you want to ask me, feel free to leave in the comment section. And thank you.
Wait, what? Crazy? You didn't say I was crazy. You think I'm crazy? Wait, what? Crazy? You didn't say I was crazy. You think I'm crazy?
Okay, so this will probably be the last series of this demo for this scene. As we have already rendered everything and come together. So this will just give you guys some information on how do we render some of the breakdowns, AOVs or render breakdown passes that we need for later on. Okay, so this render setup, I believe you guys are not very. I mean, you guys should be familiar with it. So what we need now is basically create two more render layers. One is for the AO pass, and one is for the wireframe that if we ever need it. So let me just write. Okay, AO and wireframe. Okay, so what we need in this pass are the geometries. So we'll just put the geometries collection. Yeah, just Joe. Okay, then we'll just select the scene. We'll put in. We don't need the camera or the lights, so just select all your geometries, add them in to your collection. Do the same for the wireframe. Okay, so now if I view from the AO pass, I will have all these geometries, but without the lights, and but the lights will be added by default, which is here, include all lights, but doesn't matter because we don't really need the lights. Okay, so how do we get this pass to render like AO pass? So let me just do a quick render now to see how it looks like. Basically, it will just look like everything with my lights on. Just let it render for a moment. Yep. So these are all the geometries in the scene with the lights. Okay, So how we turn this into a AO pass is basically changing the shader of this collection. So with the collection selected, right click, create material overrides. Okay, click on the checkerboard. Okay, under shader, there is this AI ambient occlusion. So we just apply that. Okay, so this will be applied to everything that is within this collection. Okay, so now if we were to do another test render, we should get the ambient occlusion pass. Okay, very straightforward. Okay, so the next one will be the wireframe. So same thing, we view from the wireframe render setup, render layers. As right click on the collection, create material overrides. Intersect shader, there should be an AI wireframe here. So same thing, click that. Okay, and do a test render. Okay, by default it's set to triangles. So it depends on your presentation wise, you want to show triangles or polygons, you can change your type under the shading group and change it to polygon. You'll remove all this triangle in your scene. Okay, so now I'll just let it resolve and save out the EXR so that I can demo some usage of it in Nuke later on. Okay, so this is done. I'll just save this EXR to okay. Okay, I'll render the AO pass as well. Give it a moment while it's saving. Okay, do a test render. Okay, it should be a very fast render. Okay, done. So let me just save the file as well. Okay, so now that I have my AO pass and my wireframe, which is the ones that we usually need for the breakdowns, we can go back into Nuke to see what we have. Okay, so these are the previous session where we put all the renders together. So we had the all renders. Okay, and now what we need today is okay. I will bring up my folder. Okay, so okay, so for breakdowns wise, I usually recommend not showing everything. Like for example, if your scene has 50 10 10 likes, for example, you do not want to probably show every single one of them separately. So let's say you have a key light that is consists of two different area lights to give the shaping that you want. Probably you want to merge them into one AOV to show, and probably you only want to show the important lights that is in the scene that is contributing to the overall look. So like your key, your rim, or maybe some of your kicker lights that you added in. Okay, so I will just import in my wireframe and AO. Okay, so as you can see, I have my wireframe. Okay, my AO pass. Okay, and what I did was so basically what I did was what I have is an environment light, my key light, my rim, and all my other lights that I put in for my set, and then my final output with all the lens flare and volume. Okay, so these are how I split out the my different lights. And how you guys can do it is you can go into your renders, you can just shuffle out that respective, like for example you just want to shuffle out your lamp, and then do the same thing for your environment. Okay, then so this is how the lamp light looks overall, and you can just write out just before all your additional stuff that you do. So you can write out a EXR from here, and of course all your volumes shouldn't be there as well. Okay, yeah. So this is what I did. So I did it for the key light, the environment, the rim, the set lighting, and I did one for the overall output. Okay, so now I have all the passes that I did. So basically I only need one frame of them, so don't need to export so many frames. Okay, so what we need to do next is we want to create a swipe effect on all these different layers. Okay, so basically I have a first swipe with my AO pass maybe, and then I swipe in with my environment light, followed by all my other lights, and then lastly my final output. Okay, so how we create that swipe is we'll create a roto node. Okay, change this to rectangle. Okay, so let's just work from the first frame. So 1001. Okay, I'll just draw the rectangle. Okay, and let's say I want my swipe to be 10 frames long. So I'll just swipe to, I will change the timeline to 10 frames. Okay, select your roto and then just shift it over. So now if I were to look at this, I will get this swipe. Okay, then of course it's not going straight, but shouldn't matter. Okay, so what's next is we want to use this roto as a mask of our, for example, um, put it here. Okay, and we change this to a mask. So now if we play back and view from here and we do a playback, it's from blank to the wireframe, basically a review of the wireframe. Okay, so what we can do next is okay, so let's just arrange this properly, as I like to work from top down. So okay, I'll just arrange it for wireframe, AO, EMV, key, rim, key. Okay, so these are in the proper order that I will want them to be. So I will just do it. I will just arrange them properly first. Okay, so now, okay, so we after this first swipe, we want the second swipe to be the AO pass. So same thing, we can reuse the roto. So we'll do a mask as well again. Okay, but this happens on the first 10 frames as well. So what we can do now is, so you see that the AO pass is on the first 10 frames, but we want this to be starting from the 11 frames, right? Because the first 10 frames will be my wireframe. Okay, so what I can do is I will create a merge node, so B, then let's just do this. Okay, we'll merge over this, and what we want to do is we want to offset this AO pass by 10 frames, because the first 10 frame is the wireframe. So create a time offset by and put the value to 10. Okay, so now if I were to view from this merge node here, first 10 frame is the wireframe, then swipe in our AO pass. Okay, so basically just repeat this whole process for all your other passes. So let me just arrange them. Okay, so do this. Okay, basically can reuse everything. Okay. Okay, but then from here we need to change the offset because it will be 20 frames later. So we just change this to 20. Okay, view from here. Okay, so first swipe is that AO, and then okay, so now it's looking like that because there is no alpha to this layer. So we'll just force the alpha to white. Okay, so now we got our ambient light. Okay, then let's just put it in for the key light. Okay, For this, we can just change this operation to plus because we're just adding likes on top of it. So just change it to plus. Offset will be 30 now. Okay, so just double check while we keep adding stuff on. So wireframe AO ambient key. Okay, so we'll just finish up everything. Now we can just copy the nodes that we created. Okay, change the offset. Do the same. And do the same for this. Okay, so we want all the operation to be plus, and the last one can be just over because that's my everything. Okay, and okay, remember to change offset. So this is 40. This should be 50, and the last one 60. Okay, so now if we view from here, okay, so now if I were to play it, so I got my, yep, so that's a simple swipe to do my breakdowns. Very straightforward. Okay, and then from there we can write out our EXR for the breakdown. Okay, of course we want to crop, so we remove all these unnecessary pixels that's outside. Probably we can reformat as well. Oh no, sorry. Crop, format to, okay, then we can write out here. Okay, so that's how you work with all the layers that you have. And then some people, when they do breakdowns, they'll, okay, so this is the EXR that I write out previously for my whole animation. Okay, so some people like to do it where they showcase one round of their work, then they swap in, so they will do a reverse of it. So how to do a reverse of it is you just copy this EXR to a separate node, change time offset, and just change the reverse input. So now if I were to play this, what's happening? Remove this. Okay, so now you see that your clip is being played backwards. Okay, so what we can do now is we can do a switch. Okay, from 0. So the, okay, let me just okay, so the first set will be the original render, so it will be until 1154, I believe. That's the frame range. Okay, and then so we can do a set key on 1154, and on 1155 we swap it to the reverse, so it will be this input. Okay, so view from here. Okay, so now what's happening? Let me just see. Oh, okay, so because we do the reverse, it's starting from the first frame. So what we want to do now is we want to offset this whole reverse clip to start at 1155. So we'll add an offset of 154 frames, which is our original frame. And then from there you can see that now if I were to play this, I get my original animation and then a reverse of the animation. So how we can do is we'll play back to the frame that we render the breakdown. So I believe it's one, let me see here, 1 2 5 3 or 4. I think it's 4. 1 2 5 4. Okay, so first thing, because we are not getting all the frame range, let's just change this to 1400 frames. Okay, change this to input. Okay, go. Okay, so now 1154 4. Is it here? No. Here. Okay, we want to switch this to our breakdown, right? So what we can do is we can wire this. So select what we have here and go to the switch node, press shift, select the switch node, press shift Y to connect it. And then okay, so 1153 will be pointing to the first input, and then 1254 will be pointing to the second input, which is this. Correct? Yep, I think correct. So let me just create an alpha for it. So, okay, and again we need to time offset this because this again is done based on the first frame. So now we want it to offset it to let me see what's the frame number again. 1254. So we'll offset it 254 frames. Okay, so now we'll have our breakdowns at this part of the movie, and then we play from here. Okay, so there is a empty frame here, so probably our offset is 1 frame too much, so just remove that. No, 5354 is that. Let me see. If I view from here, okay, I need it to start earlier, so let's see. Okay, okay, so just 1 frame less. Then go back here. Cool. So now we have our initial renders. Then it reverses back to the frame that we do our breakdown. Okay, then we can add in our breakdowns. Okay, and then what people like to do is they will continue playing the shot after the breakdown is done. So the breakdown is done here, and then of course another switch to wire in the. Okay, so let me just do a time offset. Okay, so which frame is this? Let me just view from here. So we want this. Where is it? Okay, so we want this frame 1055 or 1055 to be at 1055 to be at 1323. Let me just do a math. 1055 to 1323. So we need this to move. Let me just use my calculator. So we need to shift it 268 frame. So 268. Then we want to switch this in. So select the nodes, shift Y. Then we want to swap from 2 to 3 here. Okay, view from here, this should continue the animation to the end. Okay, 1421. Okay, let's just change the overall frame range so we get everything. Okay, so now very quickly, now we got our animation. Then it plays back to the frame that we want to do our breakdown. So we do our breakdown. Okay, and we continue playing the shot to the end. Okay, so that's a simple way of doing a simple breakdown with just swipes. And again, avoid doing a lot of different AOVs or even showing your contact sheet of what your renders consist. I think that's too much. I think because once you show a lot of things, the chances of you exposing your flaws are much greater than just a simple few swipes of some of the likes. I think, which is enough to tell the story that you understand what you are doing. And yeah, I think hopefully this is helpful to you. And this should be the last series for this whole kitchen scene shot that I'm working on. And if this whole tutorial is not really a tutorial, it's just how I'm doing things. And if these are useful to you, and if it helps you in any way, I do appreciate a like, comment, or subscribe. And ask me any question if you want in the comment section. And thank you.